Welcome to the party.
Who we get? Oh, it's Dave.
What up, Dave?
Dave, you're here for the podcast.
Oh no, it's the podcast.
It's
the podcast, baby. What up, y'all? We are here. We're officially recording now. We're not live. I was asked a couple of times if we were going to live stream this, and I was like, no, because I need to be able to edit things that come out of this from time to time. We've got Cro-Magnum here. Rhino's joined us today for the first time. Sandstorm, this is your first time in the podcast too, right?
Yep.
And yours truly. I know me and Crow are here like every week. Kadaj/Grim isn't going to be here today, but we may have some people stopping in. Jumping in and out. I think Ross said that he was potentially, maybe.
He said that with the time difference, it would be rather difficult.
Is that what it was? Oh, because he's not in
the United
country
States
right now. That's right. So, with a smaller group and with only two of us being anime nerds, but all of us being gaming nerds, that's kind of how things are going to move. We're going to touch on Chainsaw Man briefly. And then we'll get into the dead gaming stuff, because gaming is just dead, and it's terrible, and nobody likes playing video games anymore, and it's all mainstream, and it's a terrible time, right? As gamers, we can all agree on those feelings. Crow, tell me about Chainsaw Man. What's your thoughts? How many episodes in are you, and how are you feeling?
9 episodes in.
Yeah.
The main character's real stupid.
What's something that I really want to touch boobs? Like, that wasn't great.
Oh, it's Dave.
What up, Dave?
Dave, you're here for the podcast.
Oh no, it's the podcast.
It's the podcast, baby. Anywho, that's what we've got on the anime talk for tonight. We'll get into a lot more specifics and everything once we have another anime-focused night with a lot of the other anime crew. When Kadaj can get in here, if Dave gets caught up on it, Ross and the other guys who aren't here right now. So tonight's going to be a lot of talk, or a little bit of talk, depending how long we want to go, about gaming. In general, is it dead, right? Which I know is kind of like, maybe that's a little bit intense, but that's where I figured things would start, right? Just gaming is dead.
All the way to the extreme.
All the way to the extreme, right, exactly. It's going to make a really solid YouTube title. Gaming is dead, question mark, and then everybody will be like, whoa, these guys have hot takes. Which aren't probably very hot. I've got a number of games that we can kind of walk through that just are leaving me feeling this way, and this is why this was like the bigger topic. And we're going to touch on like development and a few other things that I think we'll have some good conversation around. But in general, I think the reason I'm feeling this way is I've been a gamer my entire life. Jory knows this from years and years and years in my parents' basement on the rigs that my dad would build. We were PC gamers since we were little kids. We've had Xbox and PlayStation. I grew up eating Sloppy Joes and Lay's barbecue chips while playing Super Mario Brothers 3 on the old NES in like my parents' living room when I was a kid. Like, always been a gamer. It's how we connect with each other now, right? The SNES. Like, me and Jory have known each other for forever. Me and Rhino worked together for a while.
Former bullies.
I was not. Others in this group were. I was not. I never did anything. I never did anything to you. We didn't hang out, but I was not a bully. Rhino and me worked together. He doesn't even live in the state anymore. We stay connected through games. Me and Caleb fell in love and just happened to share an interest in games. Dave, you're a part of this Discord, so you're obviously in the games. But a lot of the games that we're playing, I feel like are just in a bad spot, and it got me to thinking, like, dude, what games aren't? Like, is there anything out there right now that people are playing on a consistent basis that are really, really, really good? And I think I've answered part of my own question in just like live service maybe being a big part of the issue, which isn't something I had on the docket necessarily, but we'll get into that. So right now, the games that we were going to touch on, like Destiny
Dave, how long have you been playing Dwarf Fortress now?
And what is that?
Speaking of games that, oh man, nobody plays this and yada yada, but lots of people play it, and it's been around forever, and it just keeps getting better.
Well, Dwarf Fortress is, I think the population of people that play it is pretty low, but I mean, you have to be like borderline autistic to like either enjoy it or hate it, because it's like I don't know. I consider that the best game ever made.
Wow.
Like, because of the way it was, the guy's trying to simulate like the world, and it's super nuts. Like the amount of programming that goes into it. Like, every time he does an algorithm, it might break another algorithm, and they don't even know what that algorithm's doing anymore because it's like 12 years old, and like it's just intense. But I don't know, like a game that I've been playing games since what 80. So
Yeah.
when they were on cassette tapes.
Heck yeah.
So yeah. No, but Dwarf Fortress, check it out. It's very intense.
Dwarf Fortress.
It takes
on Steam.
like it took me like a year to learn how to just like play it enough to just to like dig a fort, figure it out. But like it's really hard, but super rewarding if you can make it through it. Like, the learning curve, which is like a brick wall.
Well, and that's another thing that I don't think there's a whole lot of anymore. Like, that's one of the things that we're going to get into in a few here is like casual versus hardcore.
Yeah.
What makes
I like
somebody
really
casual?
whatchamacallit, difficult games. Like,
Sure.
Because I come from the time period where you had only like 3 lives, or you die, you start over.
Right.
So-
Mario. You ran
Yeah.
out of lives, you'd restart the whole game, bro. Like,
Oh, you think your games are hard? Here you go.
dude,
Play
Aladdin,
the Lion King on Super
the-
Nintendo.
yeah, Lion King, Aladdin, all those old school Disney games, like, dude, freaking brutal, right?
Mhm.
But we'll, like I said, we'll get into some of the casual versus hardcore stuff, and part of what people are asking for right now, in conjunction with some other stuff. But Dwarf Fortress, I'll have to check it out. Oh, I just looked up Dwarf Fortress, and it came up with Fortress, the door company. That is not at all what we're
No,
looking for.
probably not.
That guy doesn't look very hardcore. So games in general that we're playing right now, I figured we can just kind of touch on what the problems are with them, and if anybody has any like information to put into it. But I know a lot of us have played Destiny 2, either a whole lot like me, where there's thousands upon thousands of hours put into the game, or some of you I know probably have a couple hundred hours put into it, but like that is only. Well, still, I mean, comparatively, I've been playing that game for like 8 years, right? Since like Destiny 1 came out. And it's at a place now to where like the player base is in decline. They have the lowest concurrent players since the release of the game. There may have been a couple of weeks or maybe like a month where the player base was a little bit lower. I haven't seen the exact numbers during like Curse of Osiris. But all in all, it is on a steep decline. Basically since like the seasonal model came out. Seasons just feel really boring. It's like the same kind of stuff repackaged in a different way. They told us that we would never pay for content that had been vaulted away again. Like anything that's coming out of the content vault, we would never have to pay for, right? And they just in this season released a mission on Mars that is directly like it's a reskin part of the Mars world that we were in before. Like they threw some stuff on it to make it look Hy-Vee, but it's literally the exact same layout and everything, and I'm like literally paid for this already. Like stuff like that. It's just
I think that's just weak seasons and Destiny 2 just
but it's
keeping up with the time, because seasons, that's like the way the gaming's going. Gaming's not dying, gaming's changing into a different price model.
Yeah, but I think part of that is dependent upon the game itself, right? Because seasons in Fortnite feel very different than seasons in Destiny. In Destiny,
that's
it's
what
like...
I'm saying. It's a weak season.
Yeah.
They're doing a poor job of it.
In Destiny, you say, hey, here's the new season. The new season's going to come with some new weapons, which I'll get into here in a second, and a new seasonal activity. And you do the... And of course, there's a bunch of story beats, right? That, continue to push the story of the narrative of Destiny forward. So you go in and you do, like, one mission where you talk to somebody, and then you do one mission that's, like, the new seasonal thing, and then they're like, okay, go into the core playlist and grind up some of this currency so that you can spend it here to go do this other seasonal thing. Okay, well, the time that I'm spending grinding up that currency to be able to do it in the core playlist is the same missions in the core playlist that I have been playing for the last, 6 years in Destiny 2. Like, it's just... There's just nothing unique season to season other than, like, oh, you know, here's a new exotic that's kind of cool and it does something fun. And you're like, okay, but is it good? Because if it's not good, nobody's going to use it. Oh, here's some new weapons that are releasing this season. Check out these new cool skinned weapons. Don't they look awesome? They're all pirate themed from the Ketchcraft. That's really cool. Are they good? Because if they're not good, I'm not going to use them. Oh,
Well,
nothing
see, it
is
would have
good.
had me with pirates. Like, it's me.
That's what Ketchcraft
It's
was,
pirates. It was boring.
It was boring. Yeah. I mean, it was space pirates. It wasn't like true pirates, but
That's
that's what
even
we're
better
getting.
to me half the time.
Yeah, right. But that's what we're getting is like even this last season that just launched. You know, they're bringing the narrative points around to a place where we're interacting with some people that we haven't for a while, which is kind of exciting. And then they released a new dungeon, and dungeons and raids in Destiny are the top two things in the game. If you're going to experience that game, get yourself to a place where you can play some raids with some friends and do raids, because they're incredible. They're phenomenal. It's so much fun. You have to have 6 players in order to do that. You do not want to pug it. It is a very cancerous culture out there. There's a lot of very, like, you need to be this light level and have these weapons to be able to run this with our group, and blah, 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 blah. And, like, gatekeeping is crazy. So this dungeon that just came out, I made a list that I was talking to Kadaj with about not too long ago. But the new dungeon has a new exotic that is just not a fun weapon. It's a new exotic bow. People don't run bows to begin with. And there's another bow already in the game that basically does what this does. And
Bows were fun at one point.
they were when they first came out because they were new and different. And then everybody realized these are not viable in any setting. I mean, outside of like high-level GM content, which isn't fun. That's where you get to like the min-maxing. People are playing for a specific reason. Why do you play GMs?
Because you hate
The
yourself.
only reason that I play GMs were to get Ascendant Shards. Or some type of, like, Adept weapon. But now Adept weapons don't matter because we have crafting. But the dungeon, and then there's a bunch of new weapons that came out, and they just redid all of the subclasses in Destiny, and there's, like, one weapon in the entire dungeon that has any of the new subclass verbs. It's called Volt Shot. So basically, you kill something, you reload the weapon, and then your shots for the next, like, 5 seconds after you reload can do chain lightning to other enemies, and it's the highest DPS perk in the game. On like a weapon that you can get just like that, right? It does crazy amounts of damage. They put it on a heavy machine gun, aka the one weapon in the game that you do not want to have to reload quickly multiple times. Is the only one in the dungeon that got Volt Shot. At the same time, in this season, they released what's called the Ikelos SMG with Volt Shot and Feeding Frenzy, which is the fastest reload perk in the game. The Ikelos was one of the strongest SMGs in the history of the game, and then they gave it the best perk in the game. So, everyone wants that. I got one day 3 of Feeding Frenzy Volt Shot, and I'm done. Like, there's no point in me even playing the new dungeon. Outside of just experiencing it. There's no point. The whole game is just, like, at a standstill. Any other thoughts on Destiny? I knew I was going to go on a rant there. I want to love that game.
I quit for 5 years. Then I came back. I don't really foresee myself coming back. Maybe in another 5 years. It'll probably be hecka dead by that point.
Yeah. It's the first time
I love playing it. When it first came out, I was psyched to get a PlayStation 4 just to play it.
Same.
Yeah.
And then I played it super hard. Like, even up to pretty much I cut out after the Prison
of Elders?
like when the Prison of Elders.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of fun,
Sick.
but they messed it up by making it into groups of 3 instead of 6.
Also hard-ass content.
Yeah. But, I mean, that was real fun. I had a good friend, and we, would pretty much solo the highest level ones. But then, after that, they started having that stupid speeder bike race Mario Kart stuff.
Yeah, SRL.
And,
yeah.
and yeah, that's when I quit because I was like, well, I guess they're done caring.
They don't do SRL anymore. People want that back so bad too.
And then I came back for Destiny 2, and like a lot of the group of guys I was playing with, they came back too. But then it was like we got to a raid, and it was just stupid because raids started turning into like you got to run around this pillar 3 times, and then that guy's got to shoot that orb over there while someone else has to jump across 5 platforms. And if you don't do it, it resets. So like you have to be lucky enough that everyone that gets stuck into their job is good at that job, which like everyone had their specialty.
Yeah, unless you had a committed group, raiding is not something. Like I said, it's the best content in the game if you have people to do it with. Yeah. But people to do it with is not LFG. It's not let me go to Reddit and find some dudes who want to do the raid. It's like us 5 here getting into a raid together because we can communicate effectively.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing about Destiny and what gets me hooked on it for like a week or two if I go back to it is just mainly running around and shooting things because the guns are really cool, the sounds are really good, and like the hitboxes are unforgiving or like pretty forgiving. So like you could be like sniping things with a sniper rifle from your hip, and be hitting things from far away. It's that's what makes it fun.
Yeah,
the gunplay is
gunplay is very good. Yeah,
but other than that, I'm just like I don't want to play it.
Yep.
Something with that kind of gunplay and just an entirely different game, fantastic.
Right.
Like kind of like what Titanfall did with Apex Legends, except I don't want to play Apex Legends.
Which Manning I added to our list to talk about Apex and where it's at. I know you'll have some thoughts there. Destiny 2, Overwatch 2. It's funny because half of our list is 2. Destiny 2, Overwatch 2, Fortnite 2. Or Warzone 2, not Fortnite 2. Overwatch. Anybody got any thoughts on Overwatch?
Can I say one thing?
Yeah,
Can I say one thing about Destiny 2?
Sure.
So, my thing is I was a Borderlands guy. And I know a lot of people that started on Borderlands. I still am. But
all the Borderlands guys are Destiny guys now.
They're Destiny guys. Yeah. Because it was like a fairly similar game. But it's not the same. Like, my big thing, and I think what I like more about Borderlands as opposed to Destiny is just like dedicated farms. Mm-hmm. Like if you want to get a specific weapon, you know where you go to like a specific side boss or main boss or raid boss. Like what I didn't enjoy about Destiny, just like it is like it has the multiplayer aspect, like the PvP and like being online. Like Borderlands has that kind of, but it just like it doesn't have that same feel as like, hey, like let's just like loot a bunch of shit. Yeah. Like I want to get some guns. Like I know exactly where to go. Like it's just like kind of roll the dice. Like hey, let's do a strike or let's do a raid or whatever. Like in Destiny, it's like kind of roll the dice. Oh, we might get this, we might not. Like exactly what you're going to. In Border, it's like that's why. Like I kind of trade more towards that, and that's like, and I know we'll get into it like later, just like with the whole state of gaming, but I just keep coming back to it.
It's funny that you say that too, because that's something that Destiny did really, really good when Destiny 1 launched. Was like, do you guys remember getting your first exotic? For those of you that played Destiny 1. Because I remember getting Suros Regime.
It took so fucking
long. Why?
And if you got Suros Regime because you got strange coins, didn't you? Because that was the first one.
I think
if you didn't have enough strange coins, you never got it because everybody was just going into PvP, wrecking with it, and it wasn't in the loot pool for so long.
Dude, Destiny 1, when it first released, exotics were not quests. They weren't simple 5-step quest rewards like they are in Destiny 2. All exotics were random drops, and they were like 1%. Other than like the raid, when Destiny 1 first
and
launched,
things like that.
Right, you could get stuff in the raid, like you touch a malice.
There were quests, but they were really, really ridiculous quests. Mostly, you had the just random picking up the Ingrams, and you would find Ingrams, and it'd be, hey, you found a yellow. Oh, actually, this is a green. Haha, Master Rahul got you again.
Yeah. Dude, it was crazy back in the day. You'd like get an exotic and be like, like, dude, I got freaking this. Like, what is this? Dude, when Destiny was first coming out, you wouldn't even see exotics. So like, you'd pick a weapon up and be like, I don't even know what this is. Like, what the heck is this gun? What does it do? Oh my gosh, these are crazy. Not anymore.
It actually meant something.
Yeah, now it's just like, oh, new season means new exotic. And now you don't even do a quest for the seasonal exotic. You just open up your battle pass. Click level 1.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember when like you'd be in multiplayer and that Suros would be like firing away. And you'd just be pissed off because you could just, you don't have it. I remember the day I got it, like, I don't know, it took like 6 months of running raids and finally it dropped.
Dude.
And like I got it and like I went straight into PvP and just wrecked everyone. Like I was so excited. And then also with the Fatebringer, like that pistol that would blow people up.
I still have Fatebringer.
That was like
now.
that's like the best gun in the game, probably. Like at the time,
it was really good.
And
yep, you can only get it through raid.
And like that one took. I was the first person to get that out of our group, and like it took us like 4 months, and then the next person that got it after me, it was like another year, pretty much. Like when like the whatchamacallit finally came out, the prison.
Yeah.
I didn't get it until Destiny 2. And even then, it was after my 5-year hiatus.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
When Vault returned. Yeah, I've got like 2 Fatebringers on my account. I still love that gun. But they dumpstered 180 hand cannons, so it's not very usable anymore. Anywho. No. Good thoughts. Good thoughts. Rhino. I'm going to keep trying to not to call you Manning.
You do it.
Overwatch 2. Anybody got any thoughts on Overwatch 2? Why is it dying?
I had so much fun for a very short amount of time.
Dude,
and then it was just not fun anymore.
That was
like D.Va was super fun to play,
was...
and then I think we got to a level where we were not playing against people. Like, it wasn't fun anymore because it wasn't like close. It was we were getting stomped.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a close game, that's fun. But it was either you're stomping or you're getting stomped at that point.
Yeah. Skill-based matchmaking, baby.
Really and also, like you were saying earlier, the having to like specifically choose characters to counter other like Pharah. I don't want to have to choose a character that I want to play because they chose Pharah.
Yeah. Oh, I have to go hit
scan found a place where they can shoot and just and take out your whole team.
On spawn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest criticisms that I've heard that I honestly it didn't even hit me at the beginning until we started getting like a little more serious and not necessarily us getting serious, but like getting into, lobbies that were you're like, oh, we got to try here. Like this is for real. Was like, yeah, dude. I forget who I was watching that brought the criticism up, but that they've been asking for. Maybe it was Flats. They've been asking for like that. Like, there's no. Okay, when you're looking at like League of Legends or you're looking at Smite or you're looking at these other MOBAs, what's the one thing that they all have in their competitive scenes? Pick ban phases, right?
I don't play them.
But I'm just saying,
that's what they all have in common.
Right, yeah, that too. Pick ban phases. So like you go in and you say, hey, we know that the other team is really good with these characters. We do not want them to use these characters. And then they're like, well, we know that you're good at these characters, so you're not using these. And then at the same time, you're trying to pick the characters away from them that you want to use. There's a lot of strategy in pick ban, right? A lot of strategy in pick ban. There's no skill gap in just knowing what the counter to this character is and being able to swap to that at any time. It just forces you into a playstyle that maybe you don't want to play. For example, like Jory was just saying, Crow was just saying, if you have a Pharah that's flying around in the air, what's the hard counter to Pharah? Any hit scan character. Well, what if I don't want to play Soldier 76 or Widowmaker or, one of these other hit scan characters? What if I really like playing Junkrat? No. You can't play Junkrat because you will get dumpstered by Pharah. Junkrat can't hit Pharah. Or, unless you're like probably, top 1%, 0.1% Junkrats. Like you're not hitting a Pharah with a Junkrat, right? So you get stuck into like, oh, I can play this. They're playing this cheese comp, and the only way that we can defend ourselves against the cheese comp is by playing this specific thing. And then that's not fun. Like, what if I don't want to play that? I just want to play Orisa, dude. I just want to play Orisa the whole time. She got buff. Let's go. Yeah, but we haven't touched Overwatch in a while. That's a big complaint that I've heard. I've heard people talking about how they're frustrated with releasing new characters, like Kiriko and Nemesis being deeper into the season pass for free-to-play players.
I don't hate that.
I don't either.
So, like, partway through the pass it makes sense. Like, you get it for free if the next season anyway. You're getting it for free just for playing, or you can pay to get it early. Yeah, that kind of sucks that you're not getting it early, but also you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like, that's going back to earlier. That's where gaming's moving, is subscription-based, because that is guaranteed income every season, month, quarter, whatever you have,
Battle Pass
where you are that's guaranteed. $9, absolute. All of us will pay that for a game that we like. Well, most of us will pay that for a game that we like.
Yeah, true. Any other criticisms on Overwatch? And if anybody here, as we're going through the list of hot games that we're playing right now, feels the exact opposite, and you're like, no, I'm actually really having a good time, like, fuck off. I love this game. Please share that opinion too. But
I don't rage quit games, and I've rage quit Overwatch, and not even like rage quit, not like a throwing controller, just like, all right, well, I'm done with this.
Close the game.
And I closed the game
mid-match. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, like, so little fun at that point.
Dude, I think I rage quit like literally 2 games before you, and I was like, fine, I'm back in, and then it's like literally 2 games later, you're like, I'm out. All right, dude. Yeah, we peaced out. Warzone.
When it's good. When it's bad, it's really bad.
Truth.
And it's really bad a lot more often than it's good.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I enjoy it. I'm still talking Overwatch. I enjoy it. I don't take it too seriously, which is where we'll get into the casual versus hardcore conversation later. And I think that could take us a little bit deeper. But yeah, I mean, in all reality, it's just like when you have things like skill-based matchmaking and stuff where you're being pitted up against people who are of similar skill to you, it's going to make every match that much more sweaty, right? Like, potentially we run into some teams that we get stomped by just because they're better. But if they're that much better, there's nothing we're going to do regardless. If we're playing against teams that are worse than us, it gives us a chance to kind of goof around, play some characters we don't normally play, experiment a little. But when every single game is like knuckle to knuckle, you know, you're trying to just figure out, you know, whatever's going on, being forced into specific playstyles. That's my biggest thing, honestly. Warzone, anybody got feelings on Warzone 2 / DMZ? We can talk DMZ too.
I only play DMZ. It's so much more fun than I thought it would be. We should also talk about D&D later.
We should.
Which is
do that.
DMZ, but D&D.
DMD&D.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
All those letters together.
I think there's a lot of, and Manning, you may know more about this than I do on the criticism side of like the actual gameplay of Warzone and why people hate it. I know people are pissed off about movement. That doesn't bother me.
If I need to use macros to like move, that's not movement. That's just you slamming your face into the keyboard. Like, you got angry one time, went blah, something cool happened, and you tried to redo it again.
Yeah. No, movement doesn't bother me. TTK in the game doesn't bother me as much as I'm surprised. I thought it would. But I know that's another criticism that I guess TTK needs to be way longer. I don't know. I kind of like the tactical feel, especially with the changes to movement and the game just being slower in general. You have to think more about your positioning, about your angles of approach, about a lot of other things that you didn't necessarily had to before because you could just, you know, slide cancel out. I think the biggest issue for me, which I'm sure is an issue for a lot of people that have played any DMZ or Warzone, is just connection issues, right? Their servers are like hot garbage water right now. And there have been days where I've like DC'd like 5-6 games in a row. Like just haven't played for like an hour and a half. Yeah, I was flying a helicopter, got booted once. Manning, how are you feeling? You've played enough DMZ / Warzone.
Yeah,
have you played any Warzone 2? Like Battle Royale, actually?
Not much.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think a lot of the issues are just bugs. Like, shit they need to figure out. And I know that's, like, what I've seen on, like, social media is just, like, frustrations with, like, a variety of different things. Like, not being able to pick up a weapon that they get in a crate, or not being able to open up a fucking crate when you have a thing in DMZ, and you're just like, oh, I gotta get this weapon crate that I need, and I literally can't open it. I'm sitting here spamming my square button. I think it's just it's a lot of buggy issues.
Thing that happened to you or anything.
Yeah, right.
It's just like a lot of buggy issues.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played enough of like Warzone specifically. I will say that I really like the third person mode in Warzone.
Let's go.
Did they immediately take it out? Like that's gone, right?
No, I think it's still in there.
Yeah.
Last I checked, an article was, hey, they took this out already.
Oh no, I don't think so.
That's one of the things I was most excited for, like with this, Modern Warfare 2, because like, the original back however fucking long ago, like I loved the third person mode, and just like seeing them bring it back, like I was super excited about, and just like being able to play like this. I think the only win that I have in Warzone is a third person mode, and it was like super fun.
Nice.
So like I would, ideally like to do that a little bit more, but I mean that's a game that I don't like to drop randoms. Yeah. It's like I'm only gonna play Warzone if I have, 2-3 other people.
Buddies on, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a Fortnite or a. Well, I guess not. I shouldn't say Fortnite because I don't play that unless anybody else is on. But like in Apex, like if I'm playing Apex, I'll just do random drops, like no issues whatsoever. But
sure.
I don't know. Like I think that's my only thing is it's just very buggy from what I've seen, and I just haven't played enough of Warzone. And I, even with DMZ, like there's still a lot of bugs that need to be sorted out in patches, and just the AI and
is really the sad thing. Like this is the one game on the list right now that I think doesn't have some type of like core, almost structural problem with the game itself from like a development standpoint. It's literally bugs and connection. Like, stuff that should just... Like, let's be real, dude. Like, this is Warzone 2. It's networking is your issue, and we never experienced anything to this level with, like, with Verdansk, with Caldera. Like, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, new game, new us, nothing will ever work. Like, what are you doing? The thing that they've doubled down on that kind of sucks, and I know I've seen... some community members on like Twitter and stuff like that get really upset about is like people are disconnecting games like crazy, right? Just like sometimes you just can't play the game, right? There's multiple videos out there of streamers and all kinds of people just trying to like get games in, and they can't because they're disconnecting all the time. But at the same time, somebody found out an XP glitch that allowed you to like level up your season pass through XP and everything like super fast, and they had it patched like same day.
Yeah.
And it's like, so the things that are really beneficial to the community but maybe aren't as beneficial to you because people are pushing through your content faster than you want them to, get seen and recognized and taken care of immediately while the rest of it isn't. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think whatever they have going on the server side, their connection, networking-based issues that are causing people to disconnect, is probably very different than the coding that was wrong in the game to fix an XP glitch. But
it's a lot easier to fix,
it's not a good look to be like, this was the one thing that benefited us, and you took it away immediately, and the thing that's hurting us the most, you're just not even talking about. Like... I don't know.
They're just, I think it's like the only, like, our game where the company itself, whether it's the developers or, whatnot, they're just, like, very reactive.
Yeah.
As far as, like, what things go on and the issues that come about. And, like, no other games has the issues that Warzone has.
Yeah.
Like, just with, with the bugs and everything, like... It just like always feels like this game is like a true beta. It's like truly in beta, and like everybody else has it figured out.
Yeah,
like,
not true.
I don't understand it.
True.
Yeah, no, I think like it's actually like you're seeing your first like like big big A-list game in early access. Like, this is an early access game. And they just rolled it out. They got their money. And now they can, like, you know, use that money to do whatever they want. Like, buy new servers, do whatever. But I feel like it's like an early access game. I mean, they even write beta on it for DMZ, which is great.
True. That's true.
And, like, they just ran out with that Room 21 or whatever the hell that was. And then they took it away because everyone, like, there was some glitch that the card key would replicate. So then they can keep going into it. So, like, they took it down within 24 hours. That might be what the article you saw was about.
That they
were taking that down.
Wow. I just got the key card within the last 45 seconds
and
of
that was me, Crow, and Rhino in the most freaking epic end to any DMZ extraction you've ever seen.
Get your boy! Get your boy!
It was us and another group on last heli out, and they didn't grief us. Like, one of each of our teams went down, and they're like, "Get your guy up!" Yeah, we're just trying to get out. It was amazing. Stuff like that is what makes me think, like, right now, Warzone 2/DMZ could be one of the best games to release in a while. Like, release, right? But, like, I love the gunplay. I love the new movement. I love the new map. I really love DMZ. But I can't play the game. Literally. So, that's an issue.
The thing is though, like, how long have people been saying that? Like, this game has the potential to be... But it's always been like that ever since it got released in 2020.
True. That's okay. Fair criticism, yeah.
True. I really enjoy DMZ.
True.
And that's about it. Well, we haven't played much Warzone. DMZ, you guys always talk about...
Tarkov?
Yep, and all you talk about is how it sounds like a awful panic attack. All the time. Just fuck this, fuck that. Oh, I'm almost here. Oh, shit, I just got killed. Oh, fuck. It's just always, oh, fuck. And that doesn't sound like
Tarkov is just actual anxiety.
That's like the high level of awful. And then we had the cycle that we played for a little while, which was like kind of cool until it was just not. And somehow...
mid-level anxiety.
Fucking Modern Warfare has a less toxic place than fucking the cycle. And it doesn't have insurance that feels like a real-life insurance fucking you in the ass. It feels like a decent way to do it. Like, they took so many things that were bad with... Because I never played the other one, because Tarkov sounds awful.
Dude, Manning, I'm back into Tarkov if you are. Like, let's freaking go, dude.
I'm down. Tori, so, just to give you an idea. So, that last game that we played last night, like that whole situation... That is about, I would say, a quarter of what Tarkov feels like when you're playing it. Like, it's just
us about to die.
Strictly boots on the ground. Like, you have nothing. Like, you don't have a map that you can look at. Literally. Like, there's no pinging system. Like, you are literally playing, like, as if you are in this situation, like, firsthand. And you have to, like, if you're playing Tarkov on one monitor,
you're dead.
Like, you're kind of fucked. Or, like, you need to figure out, like, you need to, like, memorize these maps and, like, where you're dropped, like, what time of day it is. If you're playing two monitors, you can have the maps up to, like, get an idea of where you're at and where you need to go. But there's no, like, you can't, like, there's nothing on the top of the screen that shows you what direction you're pointing at. Like,
if you have the map up on your second monitor, you have to triangulate where you're at. You have to be like, okay, I'm at a T crossroad. There's woods behind me to my left and buildings to my right. It looks like there's 4 buildings. And then I think I see a water tower dead ahead. And then you're looking at the map and you're like, here's 5 buildings. That's too many buildings. Here's another intersection. I do see the water tower. Okay, I've got to be this way. Now I need to orient myself. Okay, so if I have the buildings on my right-hand side and I'm looking at this way, okay, then this is... It's intense. And just moving is scary. I literally, you drop in, and I'm like, okay, I'm on the ground. I'm belly crawling for the next hour and a half. Like, I do not want to die here.
You're not doing a
No,
great
and
job
then
on
add-
selling me on this.
Oh, I
See,
freaking love it.
Tarkov actually has like consequences for dying,
Yeah.
which DMZ doesn't.
Not
Like
really.
DMZ,
Yeah.
you die and like now you can't use your fancy gun you like.
Yeah.
But like
For 2
Tarkov,
hours.
you die, you lose that gun, you lose like, and like people will like you might get the gun back, but you get it in parts, like because people will strip the gun, take like the parts they want. Like there's no.
And if you
There's
get
no,
to
like-
a point, where you're literally dead in the water, you have nothing because you kept dropping PMC and Tarkov, and you've emptied your entire inventory, and then you go to play as a scav and you die as a scav, you just have to wait until you can play as a scav again to hopefully extract. Like
That
it's
doesn't sound fun.
it is
also-
though, but it's just real hardcore. Like again,
Well, and also
another
with
game that would be fun
Hardcore
with
as it
multiple
could
people.
possibly get.
Yeah, literally, yeah. It's supposed
And,
to be a
like, also with
milsim. So.
Tarkov. Well, like Tarkov was fun because you could like, you had to go build your base and stuff, and you had to get different things. Like Warzone's like cool, but it's really simple. Like
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
they're like
It is.
pick up 5 medical things and put it in this dumpster, and you're good. And like Tarkov, you'd have to pick up like 50 medical things and like bring them to your place, and then put it with some tape, and then with some like computer chips and like all this stuff, and like
Yeah.
it had a running market like that. You could sell things and buy things. Like you had to build guns, like
Which-
legit build guns.
Still, some
I mean,
of the
one of
stuff
the games, one of the games out right now that's like Tarkov, but it's 2D. It's really fun. Is that Zero Sievert? If you haven't seen that, it's like an indie game, but it's super fun because it looks kind of like it looks like RimWorld, Prison Architect graphics, but you're like doing Tarkov shit. Like you have to go to places, get guns. You have to go real slow. If you're weighed down, you're just like Tarkov. You can't move. Like everything kills you real quick. Like, but it's like it's like Tarkov and Stalker together. But I recommend that if you want to play like a fun Tarkov-ish 2D game.
Yeah, I think for DMZ, before we move on to the next games, because there's a couple more that we'll just breeze through before we get into the big game development conversation. But I think like some of the stuff is not super easy to do. Like, okay, me and Jory both have a quest right now that's extract with 6 kill streak rewards.
That's plenty easy. You need $24,000 for 3 people.
$24,000 for 3 people each, and you can get it done. But $24,000 for 3 people each is not something that's just like super spawn in real easy and do it. Getting the 4 dog tags means you have to encounter real people. But as Dave just said, like it's not. The game itself isn't so unforgiving that it's like, oh, dude, I was trying to do this, I died, and now I'm literally boned. Like, I don't know what to do. I have to try to, like, recoup resources before I can even attempt this again. No. You just 0 to hero, drop in with attack, a lethal, and a munitions box. You semtex the first guy that you see, you take his gun, and you're off to the races. Like,
Yep.
The game's very forgiving.
0 to hero feels fun.
Yeah, from a starting point, while still having things that aren't... Like, we're not even 2 Black Mobus quests yet. And we played a lot of it. Well, Dave might be.
I'm there. They're pretty fun.
There you go. But there you go. Like, it's fun, but it's forgiving. Tarkov is less forgiving, but for masochists, like some of us seem to be, maybe, that is part of the fun. is having just crazy amounts of anxiety induced upon you. The only other games that we have left, and we can kind of lump these in together, just to talk about anybody who's got any thoughts on them. Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Rocket League. All in all, I'll give mine, and then we can just go round table if we have any experience with these. So we'll go from me to Rhino to Dave to Sandstorm to Crow. Crow, you close us out. Fortnite, Apex, Rocket League. Fortnite for me is a game that is always really fun if the weapons in the game are fun. I like this season right now because there's no snipers. I think that's a cool little change that they did. No snipers in there at all, but there's 2 different ADS weapons, which are new as of the last couple seasons. Fortnite for me, a lot of times I get really deep into it depending on the season pass. If there's really nice skins, Fortnite does a better job, I think, than... I'm going to go ahead and say Fortnite does a better job than any other game in making their season pass worth the money that you spend. You spend like $9. I don't even think it's a full $10. It's like $8 for the Fortnite season pass, something like that.
Never bought one.
And there is more value in the cosmetics and stuff to make my dude look the way that I want to look or whatever. Like, if I think there's cool stuff, all of the freaking collaborations that they have with like Star Wars and Marvel and DC and, you know, everything else in the entire world, like, my money feels better spent there on cosmetic items than I think it does in most other games. And when they have a really good season pass with a lot of stuff that I'm interested in, I put a lot more time into Fortnite, as long as that season itself isn't something that's super, super, super trolly. Like last season, wasn't super interested in the season pass. A lot of the weapons and things I just wasn't really feeling. But this season, that freaking Red Eye, what is it? The DMR is still in there. Loving the DMR. Pistols being huge, I'm freaking loving. You know, the season pass has some cool stuff in it. I'm just like, it's a game that very rarely does things egregiously wrong. It's just like, hey, I'm not interested in this season. I don't think that I'm going to play a whole lot. And guess what? They're fine with that. They're not Destiny, who's like, no, if you're going to commit to wanting to play this dungeon, you have to commit to the entire year. You have to purchase the $100 deluxe edition because we're going to scam you for 4 seasons, make 0 good original content, just so you can get your hands on 2 raids and 2 dungeons. One of which this year was absolute dog water. Apex Legends, Manny knows I've put my fair share of time and money into getting heirlooms and things. Which I shouldn't have done.
It's actually unbelievable.
It's actually unbelievable. Probably shouldn't have did it, but I did. I really, really, really like the gameplay. I like the feel of it. I like the look of it. My biggest gripe with Apex is like matchmaking and how games feel. Dave, you don't know this, but you're about to. Not this last season, what was this, 15? But it was like season 14, whatever. Not the current season, not the season before, but the season prior to that. I had a .98 win ratio, as in I won 0.98% of all of my games with over 400 games played, which means I was winning less than 1 out of every 100 drops. They don't have quests and stuff like Fortnite to level up your season pass super fast. It was just like, I got really into it for a little while because it was very difficult and it was something that I wanted to get better at. And when I watched the pros play, the ALGS or whatever, Apex Legends ALCS, Apex Legends Championship Series, watching the pros play is fun. I actually like enjoy watching the competitive scene in Apex because it's freaking intense. But, like, I don't want to play in the ALCS, and that's how every single match ever felt. Very, very, very low kill thresholds on each game. It just didn't feel rewarding, and then eventually it got to a point where it's like, this just isn't, like, I'm just not... Nothing is changing, and I'm maybe getting better, but then my lobbies are getting better with me, and it doesn't feel like I'm progressing at all. And after, like, 2 or 3 seasons... and probably over $200. And I was just like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm just not feeling it. Rocket League I love. I think that their ranked matchmaking can be dog water sometimes. We don't need to get into the whole matchmaking side of things right now. Rhino can give me his thoughts on competitive Rocket League and stuff. But Rocket League is always a game that I've loved. I will pick up and put down at any point in time. I've never committed to a season pass in the game. But that's because if I take the game too seriously, I start getting really tilted. Like, very quickly. And so, I just keep myself away from getting that level of angry. That's where I'm at with those 3. Fortnite, Apex Legends, Rocket League. Rhino, take it away. Criticisms, thoughts?
I would say for Fortnite, I mean, it's just, like, they're the best. Like, just the way that they go about seasons and everything, like just with like the events that they have and just hyping up,
True.
Going into it, like nobody does it better than that, and that's how it's always been. Like, I hated Fortnite for a long time, and I got brought back into it, and I'm having fun. The only thing I really don't enjoy with this new season is, for whatever reason, and I don't know if anybody else has felt this way, but just the ARs feel a lot different.
Yeah.
It just, I like it. I don't know what it is, like what they did with them, but
the scar is terrible.
I can't hit any fucking shots.
It's so bad. The scar is so bad. The bloom pattern is just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. So I mean that's the biggest adjustment. Like, you got to be good with your aim for long range. Otherwise, it's just like you got to run a SMG, a pistol, and a shotgun, and that's how you're gonna just kind of close combat situations. But
with a hammer.
I mean, other than that, like, the map's great. I like the map. They always do things well. It's just there's never any buggy issues. They do it right when they release it. So I mean, that's my only quips is just the AR situation. I gotta adjust my game now, but I don't know. As far as Apex, like, I mean, I still play it every once in a while. Like, I have a buddy that I work with that I'll play every once a week or once every couple of weeks, and generally have fun. But it's it's just something that's you have like 2 or 3 bad games, you're like, fuck this, like, I'm off, see ya.
Yep.
Kind of thing. You're just like, yeah, I'm good for a few days, but and then that's where I come to is Rocket League. And if nobody's on, if I'm just feeling like not really doing anything like super intense, I just play Rocket League, listen to music. Like, it's, I mean, there's not a ton to change with it. Like, there's not much you can do with Rocket League. It's, maybe a new arena or, just the skins itself. But, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. I think the Rocket League is like the purest game here because nothing changes. There's no season over season changes to physics, changes to... Maybe there's a new car, but like even the hitboxes and cars are basically uniform. The cars just look different. So like the game plays the same every single day, season over season. It's all cosmetics.
Yeah.
How sick can stuff look, which is
and then just the customizability or the customizing abilities.
Yeah.
Are essentially unlimited there.
Yeah, you're making me want to play Rocket League, bro. What a solid game.
Well, I'm gonna be on for a while, so if you wanna. I was playing it a little bit towards the beginning, so
yeah, we'll just really cruise through the rest of the topics tonight, and then we'll just hop on Rocket League. That or DK.
There you go. Yeah,
Dave. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's it. Pretty much it for me. I mean, it's a pretty routine kind of rotation. Like, nobody's on to playing Rocket League. If I have 1 or 2 people on, it's Fortnite. And then if, it just kind of depends on who plays Call of Duty to when I play it. I'm not going to play it by myself.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel, about Fortnite too. So the only game that I'll play by myself if I'm really into it is Fortnite. Or is Apex outside of Rocket League. So.
Interesting. Dave? You have any input on these games? I don't know if you're a Fortnite or Apex Legends or
I played Fortnite. Like, I played Fortnite right when it came out. Before that, I was playing PUBG. Like, I was playing PUBG a ton. And, like, Fortnite came out, and I was kind of like, But then it got really popular because it's way easier than PUBG.
Truth.
And, like, more like cartoonish and all that stuff.
It is easier. PUBG's freaking hard, bro.
Yeah. So, like, I didn't really get into Fortnite too much because I was like, this is goofy. It's too cartoony for me. So I kept playing PUBG. And then, like, Apex, when Apex came out, I played that for like 3 to 6 months or so, like, pretty heavily. And then I just bailed on it. I don't know why. I just got sick of it because I was always playing with random people. Like,
yeah.
So most of these games I always play with random people if I have to play on a team.
Sure.
So it's kind of like, you know, on Tuesdays, like you get matched up with awesome people, and then for the rest of the week, you get matched up with like junk. So it's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
And also, it's just hard to play with other people. And but like I do play Rocket League religiously. Like that's the one game I've played.
There we go.
I play it almost like every day. And once they started doing that tournament stuff, which that's just awesome. Like so, like at 10 o'clock at night, I play like my tournament.
Yeah.
And you know, if I lose the first one, I do the second one.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not awesome. I'm not good. My whole goal in Rocket League is just to not be the one that makes my team lose. Like that's my legit goal in Rocket League.
Good goal.
What rank are you into? Like 2s or 3s, or do you play ranked?
I mean, yeah. When I rank, I haven't played rank in a while because I keep playing those tournaments.
Yeah.
I was like platinum.
Okay, heck yeah.
With Star.
Yeah, dude.
So like, and I've like over the years, I don't practice. I only practice by playing. And then like over the years, you know, when I first started, I was like so bad, and I was like silver for the longest time, and then I moved up to gold, and then now I can go right past. Like now, if I play against gold players, I can totally tell.
Yeah.
Like it's really weird, you know. Like I've played so long because it was free on PlayStation.
Yep.
Like 2000.
7
That's
years
when
ago.
that's when I first got into it. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I played on Xbox, and now I play on PC. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing it. That like the games that I've played forever are Dwarf Fortress, Tory Bash, and Rocket League.
Dude,
like those are like the 3 games that like I've just continually played them, and it's not like sequels or anything. Like I've just always played them.
We'll have to try to get in sometime together because I think me and Rhino, you're Diamond, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Diamond in like 2s and 3s. I think Rhino's probably better than me, and we have another buddy Dylan's also Diamond, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're right around Diamond there. I mean, not like top Diamond. Like,
yeah,
I'm bottom Diamond.
We got close.
Yeah,
you two might have gotten close. I'm fighting to stay in Diamond.
Yeah, a couple seasons ago, I got the Diamond, and I was so psyched. It was like the best day ever.
Yes, yeah,
and you know, it was just one of those nights where I kept getting like, I got a good team, and then we all partied up, and we all just leveled up, and like for whatever reason, we were getting all the weak players like in platinum, and we're just crushing them.
That's Scion.
Or it's like our connections were good or something, whatever.
The
but
matchmaking
it was like,
is crazy in that game, but we won't get into that.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those games where it's like, on Wednesday, don't even try to play because you're going to get shitty groups like all night, you know?
Sandstorm.
But, you know...
Oh, Dave, sorry, unless you're...
Oh, no, sorry, no, I wasn't saying anything. Go ahead, sorry.
I know Sandstorm here probably has more hours in Fortnite than... Probably not all of us combined, but I'm going to go ahead and say more hours in Fortnite than... At least me and Rhino combined, and probably more hours in Apex Legends than all of us. Legitimately. Give us your feedback here. Fortnite, Apex, Rocket League. Take it away.
If I looked up my hours played, I would say I'm probably somewhere between 0 and 1 hours total. Actually, I can say that for all 3 games.
I was going to say, that's for all 3 of those. It's the 0 to 1 hour.
I think I downloaded Fortnite once. I have a younger brother that was playing it, and I think I jumped on for like a game or 2 with him, and that's about it. So
what you're saying is we need some Sandstorm lobbies.
Pretty much a pro.
We need Sandstorm lobbies is what I'm getting at. He needs to download Fortnite. We can jump on you.
I can bring you guys way down real fast.
No,
the way that Fortnite matchmaking works is that it skill-based matchmakes to the lowest tier player in your group, and so whoever has the lowest or the least amount of experience or is performing the weakest, you make them party leader, and then you get easier lobbies. So, like, if you have somebody who's never played the game before, and they download the game, you have them load up and make them party leader, you will literally drop in with, like, me, Rhino, and Crow, who have hundreds of hours into the game at this point. Rhino maybe thousands with me. Even the last, like, couple of seasons. I don't know how long you've been playing Rhino. But we will literally drop into, like, bot lobbies. Like, it's wild.
I'll queue for you guys anytime.
Bro, I made a Smurf account to see if this was true. In our first, like, 3 games, the first one was a duos that I played with Drew, who's not here, and we had a 38 kill game between us. The last game, well, not the last game, one of the last games that I played with Crow and Rhino and Drew, I had a 22 kill game. Myself, that wasn't with the rest of our party. It, again, on an alt account that I just made to see, hey, is it just gonna... And it does. It does. Nice. So it's fun.
I've just never gotten a chance to get into them. I guess when it comes to games, I'm one of those that... Seems like a lot of games nowadays, you have to spend so much time
which is
to get to a point that you can be good at it. It doesn't even have to be like casual versus hardcore. I mean, even to the point of getting to the level that you can play with other people, like you just have to spend so much time getting to learn. There's 50 different characters, and you have to learn what their 4 different skills are, or whatever it may be. And I know. I'm right there a gamer with you guys, but I'm also one of the gamers. I just don't have as much time anymore, so I can't spend 10 hours a week, which is probably even on the low end.
That is
of what? I can't do 10 hours. I can't do 5 hours. I'm just not at that point, and I've always enjoyed the games where I can load up, I can play and enjoy myself, whether I'm fighting bots, whatever game it is. But the second that I need to spend hundreds of hours every single season, right? Because you guys were talking a little bit earlier about different content, different loadouts, this weapon change, all of this, where if I don't spend the time, say 100 hours last season, this season, the next season, like those old hours don't translate to the new hours because so much has changed in the game. Yep. So I don't know how far down we want to go down this route here, but
we will in a moment for sure.
Okay, I'll hold off then. But I don't have the time to just invest in those games to even let them be enjoyable. And that's the thing for me is like you guys were talking about counter picks and Overwatch 2, right? Where I don't want to play a game and have to do a role that I don't want to. Call me selfish, call it whatever it is, but I just don't have the time. Say, okay, this game I'm going to take one for the team and hate my life for the next 20 minutes because I got to counter pick this player. One, I don't know what the counter pick is.
Nor do we.
And 2, like that might be one of the 2 games I get to play for the night. So, and
which is again,
why
a game
not
like
to go
Destiny.
too far down it, but it's like so many games nowadays too is you're locked in for 30 minutes, right? You can't get out of your seat. You got a kid that wants a new Capri Sun or wants some more graham crackers because they shoved their face full and ate them all really quick.
Yep.
Like you're locked into these games for 30 minutes, and if you got to walk away for 2 minutes, you get kicked for AFKing or whatnot. So it's just a very different breed of gaming nowadays.
And it's funny that you say that because I was like, that's Destiny 2 sounds like the game for you then because nothing ever changes. A lot of the weapons that I have right now that are viable have been viable for the last year and a half and will be viable for the foreseeable future. But then you talked about how you need to step away for a minute sometimes, and I don't know if you know this, but just to take another shot at Destiny, in your casual PvP playlists now, they have quitter penalties. So if you have to step away and then you get DC'd, you can't join another match for I don't know how many hours.
Hours?
Hours. And it persists over days. From what I heard, there was somebody who quit out of a match and it was like, here's your warning. And then over 48 hours later, quit out of another match and it was like, well, you already used your warning. You're banned now for the playlist for this much time. Yeah. They have crazy quitter penalties in the non-competitive playlists now. So it was the game for you until this last season when they took a big deuce on everybody.
The game for you is the Dark and Darker.
There you go.
Each one is only 11 and a half minutes
11 minutes. There you go. It sounds to me like Pokemon is the game for you.
Dude, I'll tell you what.
Let's go, dude. Scarlet and Violet, baby.
That Switch has done well so far. So
I will say before we move on to the next one, a lot of the reason that I talked about Destiny 2, Overwatch 2, Warzone 2, Fortnite, Apex, Rocket League is because I know that a lot of us play these. Obviously, you have some experience with some of those games, not the last three that we're going through, so I do want to give you the opportunity to chat about any games that you have played, as we're talking about the overall theme, right, of this segment, if you want to call it that, is gaming dead? Are there games, New World, that you've played Albion Online for a long time that you're not playing anymore? What pushed you away from them? Are you still in and out of them? What does your gaming scene look like? Because we have a very similar personal life as far as what is impacting our time with kids, right? Mm-hmm. And shit. That I don't know if the rest of you are. I know some of you definitely don't have kids. Dave, don't know. What does that look like from you with your experience gaming wise? Fortnite, Apex, Rocket League, things that I've been invested in for a long time, that I'm back and forth on. What games are you looking at? What are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing for me lately, going a little bit away from PC gaming, was actually getting the Switch. I did get Pokemon. I did get the new Zelda. I haven't actually played it yet, but I think it really goes back to just gaming nowadays, at least on the PC online, is just, there you go. It's just so unforgiving. And I mean that in a different way. I actually enjoyed, you had 3 lives in Mario. And whenever you died, your game's over and you go back to level 1-1, right? It's unforgiving in the sense of if you walk away from it for a day, 3 days, a week, you are now so far behind. Everybody just has passed you so much more. And you see it a lot on, I'd say mobile, phone games too, right? Where if you're in a server, there's 100 different servers, they continuously release new ones. And yeah, if you don't do your dailies, for an entire week, you go from being, I don't say 1 million power, and now you're 1.2 million, but in that week, everybody else has got to 2 million.
Raid at that Shadow point, Legends.
Cover.
Raid.
Yeah. And actually, this opens up a big rabbit hole that I'm just going to mention quickly. Is then the only way to get back on pace with everybody else is to spend 20, 30, 40 bucks, right?
Yep.
And I'm one of those that...
Lost Ark. Continue.
I don't mind paying a little bit of money here and there, but there's one game I was playing, and it was you'd pay, this pack was $100, and it was, if you bought it, you didn't really feel any stronger than you did before you bought it.
How many times did you buy it?
0. But
That's
in premise, when you look, in this specific example, the game I'm talking about right now. But I mean, when you looked at the rewards that you got for it, it was okay, this is not going to materially make me better. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm going to spend $100, $200, $300, however much, right? And I just remember, I'm going to sound old here, right? Like an old fogey, but I remember the days of paying $50 for a game. And you had 50, 60, 80 hours worth of content that, one, the game was fully developed. It was not an early release. It was not you need a patch. It was not, we're going to release a DLC or 17. That was your game. You paid $50 for it. And you played it for the next couple months, unless it was Christmas break and you knocked it out over while you were out of school. And then now, not to dog on Destiny, I'm just using it as an example because I looked it up earlier. That's Destiny 2 came out over 5 years ago. And it's just been seasonal content, new releases to go on to the original game. It's not Mario 1, Mario 2, Mario 3, where everything is completely different. It's just that they're piggybacking on what's already released into what you mentioned before, Ryan, like recycled content, right?
Yep.
And this is how can we get more money? And I'm a business guy, right? Like I understand at the end of the day, it's a business. You're trying to make money, make profit. But I think just, whether you call it the microtransaction side of it, but just moving away from buying a game for $50, and when you beat it, you beat it. Like, you could maybe pick a different path or a different character or whatever and play it again, but you just moved on to the next game afterwards. And now it feels like games are so attached to, this worked, and now I need to build the next 5 years off the single game and just figure out, okay, can I charge them $20 for this one, or can I charge them 30, or can I charge them 5, or how can I extract
which can
the
work,
most amount of money?
But it doesn't with Destiny.
But I mean, that's the thing, though, right? It obviously works even with Destiny. I mean, I know Ryan, you spotted off some stats earlier, but I mean, it still obviously works, even if it's to our detriment as a player base. You can see that with declining number of people logging in or whatnot. But obviously, from a business standpoint, it works because it's a model they've chosen. It's enough that enough people still log in. Right. Sure. Once it gets, I kind of compare it back to something we can all think about, relate to, is gas prices. Right, where I remember the first time gas went above, like, what was it, $5 here in St. Louis. That was like the tipping point. That's where people were like, okay, I'm going to stop driving. Yeah. So it's like, I'm going to charge as much as I can until people get to a point where they're actively going to make the decision to not consume, to not buy, to not do whatever activity it is.
Where is
and
that?
Until I reach that tipping point, I'm going to keep charging. Yeah, I think that's the game. I kind of went on a rant here, but
no, I appreciate it. Yeah.
To go back to your original question, is gaming dead? I don't think it's dead, but I think it's so much more less about the gaming experience and more about, okay, how much can I extract profit wise until I need to move on to whatever needs to happen. And until then, it's going to be about, I'm going to shove as much content that I can charge you for as I can while the going's still hot, type of thing. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yep, and
with that, I'll pass on.
No, you're good, and a lot of that we're going to dig into because the next topic that we're going to touch on is going to be game development, and I have some points. I've got some notes from Drew and some people that we'll touch on, and I'm very curious to. I think that's going to be some of the really good conversation. So, Jory, you actually do have experience, I think, with at least most of these. Fortnite, you definitely play. I wasn't sure about Rocket League, so tell us.
I'm not good.
Fortnite, Apex, Rocket League. Take it away, Jory. Sorry, Crow Magnum, Rid Kid.
Fortnite. I just started playing about a year ago with y'all. I like it. I like no build a lot. That has made it a lot more fun. I am definitely the weakest link, by far.
Not anymore, based on your lobbies, bro. Not anymore, based on your lobbies.
We're getting better.
The lobbies sure. Today were freaking sweats, and Jory was leading. Anyways, continue.
It's one of those that I don't really get skins often. Like, I have 6 skins that I bought, and 3 of them look like they're corrupted, cool, like Cell kind of stuff, and 3 of them are rubber hose animation from like the 1930s, and that's a big thing for me. The only other skin that I will buy at this point is all the One Piece skins they'll eventually put out. Absolutely, I'll do that. I'll buy One Piece skins in a heartbeat. But I think what I like about it is also what some people dislike about it, where it's, hey, I have Superman fighting Batman, fighting Goku, fighting Lara Croft, and we have Master Chief doing a Doja Cat dance, and like that's just kind of funny to me, honestly. Like, I don't give a shit. It's a ridiculous, like, it's the closest thing that we have to Ready Player One right now.
Yeah.
But I know that some people, like, I have seen people get so angry about it. About, like, oh my god, they've ruined Master Chief. Look at him doing a Doja Cat dance. They've sullied his great name.
It's the only place where DC and Marvel can actually come together. You could actually have Spider-Man fight Batman with guns.
Yeah.
There's a super side note before I cut you off. Don't mean to cut you off for very long, but there's a guy named Nick A30 that I was watching his stream the other day, and he was playing Super Saiyan God Goku with the Master Chief's legendary emblem on his back, and his harvesting tool was Wolverine's claws. And I was like, this is the best.
Ready Player One.
It's so weird. But anyways, continue. Yeah.
Apex, I don't like. I don't like it. I don't like sweaty sweat shit. That's some sweaty sweat shit. I got it the day it came out on PlayStation 4. I played it a little bit, and I was like, hey, this is super not for me. I like Titanfall. I like the story mode a lot. I like the weapons that they have.
Yeah.
I don't like the game at all. I've deleted it already.
Yep.
Rocket League I've had since it came out for free on PlayStation Plus years ago. Going to what Sandstorm was saying earlier, I do not like to put that much time in. If I'm putting that much time into something, I want to get good at it. I'll play guitar. I'll learn a sport. I don't want to spend enough time to get good at a sport trying to get good at Rocket League.
Fair.
It is the skill curve is such an intense thing.
It is.
That the people that I know who play it are people who have played it for years, or who sat there unemployed and just did training missions over and over until they were good.
Yep.
That's... If I'm spending hundreds of hours in a video game, I'll play The Witcher.
Truth. And we're going to get into some of that when we talk about game development too, especially with some of Drew's notes as to what he's looking for in the future of gaming and what he thinks needs to come back. We're going to touch on some of that stuff around The Witcher and stuff. But no, yeah,
I'll just jump in just really quick.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if to open that door or not, but yeah, I mean, when it comes back down to it, right? Not to jump off gaming and into more serious, but I mean, at the end of the day, time is the most valuable thing that we have, right? So if I'm going to spend time in a game, it either needs to fulfill that kind of immediate, I need some entertainment, hanging out with friends, doing all that, or to what I guess Cro-Magnon, just said, right? I mean, you can spend so much time on a game, and then 6 months later, everything changes. So everything you just spent learning that game just completely changes. But yeah, whether
is that what was the one that you had us download recently? They had the crawlers and stuff, and it looked really cool.
Oh, Last Oasis.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's so much just changes, and that time is just lost, right? You can't get that time back.
Yeah.
And whether it's spending that time learning the guitar, working on some hobby or skill that you have, or spending time with family, right? I think in maybe our generation, we're in that grew up gamer generation, and now, a lot of us, some of us have families. You have to figure out really where do you want to spend your time. Yeah. And now it's where I'm good spending 10 hours playing a game on a weekend 10 years ago. I have other priorities that I'm going to spend that time on.
Yep.
And that actually kind of phases me out, kicks me out, whatever you want to call it, out of a lot of games nowadays, because I'm just not going to spend the time to be good enough.
Yep.
So I value my time doing other things.
Yeah, no, and that I think is a solid transition as we can get for the closing segment of the little podcast here, which is really where I think
The Little Podcast.
The Little Podcast.
The one that we didn't think would make it an hour today.
The one that we didn't think would make it an hour today, we're passing an hour, is in game development, as well as just like the player base itself and what they're expecting out of gaming moving forward. So what I'll just touch on to begin with, and I'm curious to hear anybody's thoughts if they have anything to add or if you disagree with me or anything. But one of the questions that I had posed here is, are games being over optimized by players now because of your ability to access information on the game themselves? Distinctly, I remember playing like games like Elder Scrolls 3 with my brother, right? Morrowind, where the internet was a thing, but we were kids, and were we really looking up all kinds of stuff? No, but we figured out how to make like soul-binding spells that had attribute increases that you could cast into a corner on yourself to permanently increase your base stats for like your strength and your speed and all of these things, like without just, how do I beat this game, and Googling it. I remember things like Final Fantasy VII. My brother, Hilrambe, who's not here today.
He's beaten it, like 8 times at this
point? Dude, the dude just breaks every game that he's run into. He needs to be a playtester professionally for games, because what he does is he sits down with a game that he's interested in, and then he figures out every way to just shatter that game. So, like, he had figured out in Final Fantasy VII that if you combined a certain types of like materia and certain types of like summons that you had during like some of the hardest bosses fight, the hardest boss fights in the game, you could like summon, I forget what it was, Knights of the Round, and the Knights of the Round would just continually summon because of some type of materia combination over and over and over and over and over, and he let Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation run for like an hour, and all it was doing was casting Knights of the Round over and over to one-shot a boss. Like, figuring stuff like that out, right? Like, silly, stupid stuff, but that's kind of fun. If any of you have played any of the Elder Scrolls series at all, Oblivion, Skyrim, Morrowind, like, I feel like those are the kind of epitome of like what discovery in a game is, because it's not a game where you're necessarily, hopefully, you're necessarily going to the internet and Googling like, okay, how do I join the Black Hand? How do I do this? Like, you're just experiencing the game as it comes to you. And I think that a lot of what that game and the games that I appreciate and I think about in the past have in common that is different than games now is just live service in general, right? We've touched on this. Samstorm touched on this. Crow touched on this. I feel like, Rhino and Dave, both of you touched on this a little bit, but like in different fashions. Like, live service gaming itself is changing the way that gamers approach games, because now you're looking at things not through the lens of like, was this a really solid game for my $60, but like, is this worth, as Sandstorm just said, is this worth my time and commitment, because it's going to take hundreds of hours to get through, but it's not the same type of 100 hours that you would spend in Skyrim, where that 100 hours is going to literally discovering different things throughout the map, experiencing different stories, getting different weapons, different plot points. Like, there's so much going on in games like Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, stuff like that, where there's a difference between that and, like, Warzone 2, between that and Rocket League, which is essentially the same game, but it's a skill gap, right? Like, are you going to invest that time into bettering yourself at a game, or are you going to invest that time into experiencing something entertainment-wise? And I feel like there's, like, most games now, because of, season over season, the Battle Pass model, the structure that things are falling into, where, what was the last game that was really big that probably, oh my gosh, what's the From Software game?
Finish your sentence before you ask.
No, what's the
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. It's probably the most recent game that's launched that was huge across the gaming sphere itself. Everyone was playing this game. Was there a battle pass for that game? No.
Would a battle pass work for that game? I don't think that's
right. So like that's where I question, like, what are we as gamers really looking for? Is it we're missing stuff like that, like just the single player games that have some type of experience that they're bringing that we're really missing? Is it things like Fortnite that continually reiterate upon itself, where like your hours into first person shooters and your hours into Fortnite continue to carry over, but they're updating the map, they're updating the weird little quirky things that get brought into Fortnite every single season, spaceships and freaking cars that have cow traps that drive through freaking walls. Everything. And like there's so much just kookiness to the game itself that it keeps it fresh and interesting while the time that you're putting into that game is continuing to progress you as a player in that game. Like, you know, game development itself from that standpoint, is that what we're missing? Is like more of the single player experience, more of the discovery, more of the...
I don't think that there's any one right answer, because I think that there's not any one kind of gamer.
That's fair. But in general, like me, I feel like gaming
I love
itself...
my first player games, but I don't like... You guys play games that I don't want to fucking... Tarkov. Apex Legends. Like, that shit doesn't sound fun to me, or it is, I know, not fun for me.
Yeah. And I think part of it, too, is me looking at it from a standpoint of somebody who pays attention to, like, Twitch and YouTube streaming and stuff like that, where like a lot of the top streamers are people who are playing Warzone, people who are playing Fortnite, people who are playing, you know,
part of that's also just
these live service games.
There's a lot of not a lot of, but I've seen articles lately of they're getting really, really like burnt out on that, of like, hey, like the way to make money is to play these games, but I don't like these games anymore. Like I want to play an indie game. Like, making something your job makes it less fun at that point. You have to monetize it.
True.
And so if you love Modern Warfare and you start making that your job and you have to play it so many hours a day, it starts to not be fun at that point. Like you don't enjoy it.
And I think that's a big thing. And I think it goes back to what I was saying a little bit earlier. Like, so much is about monetization, right? I know people want to make money. Companies got to make money. But to the point of your hobby should be something that's fun. And I think so many people end up and try to turn a hobby into a career.
Right.
And at that point, it's not a hobby anymore, right? Like you were just saying, that they don't want to play the game anymore, but that's how they're going to get the most payback for their time streaming.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, you can go much broader with it too, right? Like, if you look at our culture from like the TikTok side of things, you know, you want to watch something for a short duration, and if you're going to watch it on Twitch, do you want to sit down and watch a streamer put in 50 hours into a Final Fantasy VII run? Or do you want to watch for 15 minutes and watch them, you know, blow some people's head off in Tarkov?
And there are people who are like that, because I know people who specifically that's the kind of streaming that they watch is, hey, I want to see speedruns and I want to see like this person play a game that I like. But I don't think that that's the most common part. Like, you can find your niche, and if you have a dedicated group of people who are subscribed to you, you can make that your living. You might not become rich, but you can make it to that. You're just not going to become like, I don't know any famous Twitch people's names. I don't know why I started that sentence. I'm not that person. Sure, there we go. You're not going to be a Golrog.
I don't even stream on Twitch, bitch.
See, that's how much I know about streaming.
Exactly to that, though, right? Where it's so much less about enjoying, and it's more about, okay, how do I, just like in games, do I min-max my time and I go search a YouTube video and something that would have taken me 3-4 hours to figure out myself, I just figure it out in 5 minutes by watching a video? Same thing with Twitch streaming, right? Do I spend 4 hours streaming and make $100, or do I spend 30 minutes and make the same amount because I'm focusing on the certain content that people want to watch in that 30 minutes?
Yeah, and I think that there's streamers who do this well too. Before we get into the next topic, because I'm going to push this forward because I think we're touching on the next kind of point. But like Tim, right? Tim the Tatman, who any of you know, one of the biggest streamers that there is. He's like touring different freaking NFL stadiums right now with live setups. The guy's huge. He's as big as Ninja, if not bigger now. He's really funny. He seems like a really solid dude. But he blew up. I mean, he started streaming like Overwatch 1. He moved into, I think, like PUBG or something around like Doc. Warzone was really, 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 really big for him. And of course, Warzone 2 coming out is big. But the dude loves World of Warcraft. And so he'll be like, hey, listen, new expansion coming out. Dragonflight's coming out right now. Like, we're streaming some World of Warcraft. I know this is going to hurt my numbers. If you're here for me, be here for me. But if you're not, doesn't change the fact that this is the game that I want to play. I'm playing it off stream. I'm playing it on stream. This is what I'm playing, right? And he has obviously, right now, he's got the amount of people following him to where, like, he's going to be supported regardless. But it is a cut in revenue, and, his numbers do drop when he streams WoW, but he's still basically just like, no, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I think it's easier for him than it is for a lot of people to just be like, yeah, I'm going to abandon this game like Fortnite that I've been playing for the last 4 years because I'm getting bored with it. Or Destiny. A lot of the Destiny streamers, I feel like this, don't feel comfortable moving into like a variety streamer, kind of like scenario because they're afraid that they're just going to take, a huge hit to their paycheck, so they're forced into this. But all of that's to say, I mean, streamers are a different breed. They're a different situation than the average gamer that we're into right now, which kind of caveats us into the following conversation that I wanted to have, and I'm curious to get everybody's thoughts here individually on, and I'll give you Drew's and mine as well, but development towards games and what a casual gamer is and what a hardcore gamer is, and what the difference between those two is, because I think that in itself has changed a lot, and the responses that I got from Hellrambe, the response that I got from Drew, and my own thoughts on it are very
similar.
Varied. Yeah, they're very similar in a lot of respects. Which is a very small pool of the player base, right? I mean, obviously, we're all here, we're all friends, we're all in the same Discord, so probably we're going to share similar opinions, especially on the gaming side of things. But I want to start. I know, right?
I'm going to throw out, I think I'm going to be the exception.
We'll see, but I'm going to hit reverse order because I want to close this out with me, Hellrambe, and Drew's thoughts. Crow, I want you to start us. The question that I have as we move through Crow, Sandstorm, Ice Cream, Rhino, is what defines a casual gamer versus a hardcore gamer when it comes to a specific game, right? Because I'm not just talking like casual gamers versus hardcore gamers. Streamers are hardcore gamers. That's what they do professionally. They put more hours. They put more hours into gaming in general than any of us do because that's their profession, right? I'm not talking about streamers. I'm not talking about people that exist outside of the realm of, like, normalcy. As far as gamers are concerned, people that are invested in games, people that just love gaming, it's a part of, like, who we are, our culture, whatever you want to call it. What is a casual, and take this into consideration for, like, your own favorite game, right? What's the game that you're the biggest fan of, whatever that is? What defines a casual and what defines hardcore? Like, what's the difference between those two? Because I have some thoughts on that we'll hopefully get to quickly, so we don't take up everybody's entire night. And if anybody has to dip at any point in time, please feel free to just like, hey, I gotta go, peace out, get out of here. But it's my birthday, so hopefully it'll stay. Crow, kick us off. What do you think here, bud?
I feel like hardcore gaming at this point is going to be like middle schoolers, honestly. Like the ones that don't have any responsibility outside of, hey, I go to school, I skip my homework and then I go game so that I can go shit on 30-year-olds that have jobs.
So you think it's
hot take.
How serious they take it, or time in, or like what is the difference between like a hardcore gamer and a casual?
How much time? Part of it's how much time you're able to put in. Like,
sure,
we don't have as much time to put in as they do, and then how you choose to use that time. So if they have all that time and they're using that time, I'd say that that's more hardcore of a gamer than me, who has less time and is using some of that time to not play.
Yeah. Sandstorm?
Well, since Crow didn't do it, I'm going to do it. Happy birthday
shut up.
you.
Stop it right now.
You belong in my
I do. Now shut the hell up. Stop. Stop.
Monkey.
I only
like 1, 2.
Listen, I only threw that out there to guilt trip anybody who was trying to get out of the podcast early. So Sandstorm, thoughts. Casual versus hardcore gamers. You guys are the worst.
Yeah, I would say for me, I mean, I can really narrow it down just to 2 words: pause and time.
Sure.
So, I mean, if you're a gamer that needs a pause button, you're not going to be hardcore, right? Like, if I need to have the time, for whatever reason, that I need to be able to hit escape and it pauses the game, like, you're not hardcore in today's world anymore, right? Because that's just not where the games are. And then to Crow's point, time, right? Like, I took some vacation time. I guess it was about a year ago when New World released, and I put in a lot of time to that game, and I was still I would say I was upper middle road with that game. There were still people putting in a lot more time than I was, but it really came down to it didn't matter how good I was skill wise. If I couldn't put in 15 hours into that game, there's going to be people who were better than me, just because it literally took that much effort to be, have the resources. I kind of liken it back to original WoW, right, where you had to log in, you had to go get your buffs before you would go do your raid. You had to go farm these specific mobs to get your drop so you could make the specific consumables. If you didn't have the time, 1, if you didn't have the time, 2, at the specific time, then you weren't going to be top damage. You weren't going to be top healer. Like, you just weren't going to have the buffs to be that top echelon of your. So, for me, it really comes down to, pause button and just time in general.
Dave, how about you? You still there?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted.
Let's go. No, you're good.
Like, I don't know, like hardcore versus casual. I don't know. Yeah, it's really just time, and and that pause button. I mean, if you've ever talked to me about video games, like you would think that I play video games constantly. Like you'd think I'm playing it all the time, and I've played every one of them. But like, the truth of the matter is like I really don't play until, after 10:30 or 11 at night, and I only play for a couple hours. It's just one of those things. But I love talking about games. But I consume games more now watching people play them than actually playing them myself.
Interesting.
But like, I don't know. I would consider myself like, I'm not like casual gamer, but I'm definitely not like a hardcore gamer, because a hardcore gamer to me would be like, like teenagers or whatever that they don't have to go anywhere, they don't have to do anything, they don't have like a wife and stuff, and they don't have like responsibilities, and but there are us out there that like are like, we game a lot, but we're not hardcore like a streamer or a kid, I consider more hardcore gamers more of like the type of game you play, like playing Tarkov. Like, your casual gamer doesn't play Tarkov. Like, those are dudes that like to be masochistic with their video games. Like, or Dwarf Fortress and things like that. Like, you know,
Sure.
they're games that you really have to commit you have to commit like thought to. Like, you can't just, like, casual gaming to me is Fall Guys, which is real fun, and I play that all the
That's a
time.
great example.
But like, that would be a casual game. Like, you turn it on, you know, someone grabs you, you fall off a cliff. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was gonna
say.
I didn't want to cut him off though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty casual. You know, that's, to me, it's more like that. But yeah, I don't know.
I
like
love
party
that.
games kind of vibes.
We are coming back to you because I want to finish out. Obviously, Rhino, me. I want to give you Drew and Harambe's takes, but then we need to come back to that because that is a very interesting take, and I have some notes that I think fall in line with that. Really cool. Thank you for being here, Dave. That's all I'm saying. Rhino, casual versus
I love that
hardcore.
he came in on accident too.
Dude, so good, dude. That was exactly. I love everything you said. Continue. What do you think? Casual versus hardcore, man?
I mean, I think it just kind of depends. Like, what it comes down to is passion, and that can be game to game, essentially. Like, I know, like, with you, with Destiny, with, you know, certain, like, skill-based games, like, there's a lot more that goes into it as opposed to, like, you know, more of, like, a straight-cut Fortnite game. Like, you know, there's a lot of research or just experience that you have within the game itself. So I would say, like, you know, there's a lot of factors involved, obviously, like, you know, just kind of, like, what your life looks like. Like, you know, I would classify myself as a casual gamer, but in certain games specifically, I think I would be more hardcore just because of the passion that I have for them. So, like, if I'm gonna, you know, after work kind of thing, like, it's mainly casual, but, you know, if I have time, like, on the weekend, or if nobody else is on, like, chances are I'm gonna be in Borderlands, and I would call myself pretty hardcore when it comes to that. So I just really think it just kind of depends on, you know, kind of where the passion is and just the game itself. Because, I mean, if you're talking of, you know, like a PGA or, you know, like an NHL game, like a sports game, like, you know, for the most part, it's going to be pretty casual. But then you get into more of the skill-based games, the Destinies, the Overwatches, where there's a lot of other things involved. Like, that's where it's like, okay, if you're a casual like myself and I'm playing Overwatch, I know what I can play as, and I'm not going to do anything else. Like, I'm not going to, like, it just works. I couldn't tell you how it works. It just works for me, and I couldn't explain it. With Destiny, like, I just go with the flow kind of thing. So, I mean, that's my take. Like, I think it just kind of depends on the game, like, you know, where the passion is, and, you know, whether that determines if you're casual or hardcore.
Cool. No, yeah, and I think I agree with a lot of you. And Drew's notes and Harambe's are the same. I think when it comes down to it, a lot of the defining line between what a casual gamer and a hardcore gamer when it comes to a specific game, or just in general, is time. Right, is the biggest thing. Like, if you're putting a little amount of time into a game, you're pretty casual. If you're going to put a lot more time into the game, you could be considered hardcore. Rhino, to your point, I think that ties into passion, right? If you're really passionate about a game, you're going to put more hours into that game. Apex Legends is a great example of this. Me and Drew and you, for a little while there, that was the game we were playing, right? I specifically, speaking for myself, pretty passionate enough to go buy a fucking heirloom, right? Like, I wanted that to be a game that I was successful at. I wanted that to be a game that I felt like I could be better than other people at, and I spent all my time into that game. I put money into that game. Like, the pretty hardcore, right? I was taking it pretty. I was not on there casually to just like, oh, let's go throw a couple games of Apex in. I think that also ties into Dave's point of, like, the game itself maybe lending itself more to a casual player base versus a hardcore player base. I don't know that you have many casual gamers loading into Apex. You don't have casual gamers loading into Tarkov. But Drew's notes were the same. Harambe's were the same. Mine were the same. It aligns with a lot of you guys. A lot of that just comes down to time in, right? Like,
I think too, like, with, and I think this ties in with fashion too, is like you're going to put time into this. Like, so like Apex, for example, like you mentioned, like you're going to put the time into it. Like you're going to, really want to get better. But like on top of that,
you
like
have to.
It's like for me, when it comes to Borderlands, like, yes, you're playing the game, but it's like on top of that, like YouTube videos, like looking up builds and just like really getting, outside of actually playing the game, just like familiarizing yourself with the game and like figuring out how, like, how I can maximize what I'm doing, like whether it's a character or just like the gameplay itself. Like there's just like I think where it comes to like more hardcore is like you're doing a lot more outside of actually playing the game that still relates to the game.
Yep. No, and that's another point that Drew had. So his notes were time in, and then on casual, he said, if I'm playing a game casually, I'm typically just getting on to play with my friends. Crow, I figured you'd identify with that quite a bit because I know that a lot of the gaming that you do and the games that you download and play are because, hey, we're trying out this new game. Hey, we're playing this game. Come download this Sandstorm. Same diff, right? DKO, right? Dude, download the game now. It's free for the next week. You guys got to get it while it's free. We're playing this game, whatever. And then Drew's other notes were around hardcore. If he's hardcore about a game he's playing to win, in playing the same game consistently, which goes to that same time in, right? Like playing that game, playing Apex over and over and over. He also did mention exactly, Rhino, to your point, like following the game outside of the game itself, whether that's watching Twitch or looking up YouTube videos or looking up strategies. Like WoW's a game that's all about this. Everybody wants to min-max everything, so you're looking up Icy Veins builds on your talent trees and what your skill rotation is itself, and you're watching videos of people who are down bosses and like how to defeat these specific bosses, and like there's a lot that can go into it. I think that ties itself in with the time, because I would consider that time in the game, that time into the game that's not necessarily into the game, right? Like you're watching videos to be on
top of,
right?
Because if I'm playing a game, I'll definitely look something up and I'll try to min-max it, right? I'm going to spend the time. I'm going to do the best that I can that I have.
Yep.
That doesn't make me hardcore. I'm certainly not hardcore in any game I play anymore.
Yeah.
So that has to be on top of everything else that you're doing.
No, and that's perfect, because that's one of the other things that I had was like noted was around game development itself. Or not in game development itself, but gamers themselves. Around the development of games and us optimizing as gamers, overlay optimizing games, right? Like, even in a game that I am playing casually, right, DKO is a perfect example of this, okay? Downloaded DKO because of one of Tim the Tatman's streams, right? He has his own skin in the game, whatever. He was playing it. I was like, dude, this actually looks kind of fun. I'm going to check it out. I love Smite. DKO is by the same developers. It's got the same characters, similar skills and everything. Me and my brother used to play Smite for a while. My dad and my sister still play Smite. It's a solid game. It's by the same people. Like, let me check it out. So I go to check it out. We go to play the game. I'm like, dude, I like Thor. I download Thor. I start getting deuced on as Thor. And I'm like, am I bad? Or is Thor a bad character? So what am I doing?
Both.
I go look up videos,
accuse
dude.
Everybody of cheating.
I accuse everybody of cheating first. First, I accuse everyone of cheating. And then I go to YouTube and I look up videos of, like, what are Thor's best rotations? What talents should I be using on Thor? Oh, I don't have this talent unlocked yet. It totally makes a big difference. His ult's not very good. You want to use it positionally if you're playing, like, 2s or 3s. But in 1s, Thor's ult comes out segment by segment, so it's not going to be as effective as, like, Amarasu's, where you just have to hit it and then the person's freaking deleted. Like, they're gone, right? Thanatos is the same way. Like, I'm literally looking up stuff. Now, does that mean that I'm super hardcore with DKO? No, I haven't played it in, like, 4 days, right? Not a game that I'm super interested in queuing solos into right now, because I'm not taking it that serious. But that goes, again, back to, like, time in. So I think that there's multiple things that go into it, but they all kind of leverage each other. Sandstorm, yeah.
So I think that brings up, it makes me think of kind of two scenarios, right? Where do you play the game because you want to be better at it the next time you play it? Or do you play the game because you want to enjoy the game you're playing today? And maybe that's a good way to frame up, is it about enjoying the game? Or am I hardcore that it's not about having fun today, it's about what can I learn so I can be better tomorrow?
Yes, to a degree. The only argument that I have somewhat, not necessarily against that point, but that puts in perspective of like where I fall myself personally with that is like, do I always want to be the best at everything that I'm doing? Yeah, absolutely. Am I looking up stuff to try to continue to like better myself in like DKO, a game that I'm playing semi-casually? Yes. Do I expect to be the best? No, but like I also don't want to just get shit on every time I load the game up. Like that's not fun. And if I'm playing something unoptimally, you know, even though somebody may have way more time in than me and may be just better than me with a worse character because they understand the movement to a finer degree than I do, like, that's fine. If I'm playing DKO with my buddies, cool. Like, I can still have a good time playing that game, but I don't want to... I don't just want to get shit on all the time, right? Fortnite is kind of towing the line where it's just like, do you have first-person shooter or third-person shooter experience? Because, like, there's not a whole lot more to it than just, like, aiming. And, like, that's something that just comes with time, right? Whereas DKO is like, okay, each god has these abilities. Do you know what those abilities are? Do you know how to avoid them? Like, kind of what you were talking about, time in as far as, like, just even understanding the game, like, where it came from. I don't know. So that's why, like, the time in for me is the bigger defining line, because like Apex I was really hardcore about. I would call myself hardcore for a little bit about Apex until I realized that I can't fucking carry a candle to half the people out there. To 1% of the people out there, to be exact. To 1% I can't carry a candle to them.
So before we go too far though, going back to the DKO, right? Like you're looking things up, you're trying to get better, but you haven't logged in DKO in 4 days, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we said earlier. If I was to load up DKO right now, if Rhino, if Crow, if Ice Cream were to load it up right now, would you join in?
Oh, hell yeah.
So to that point, you're not playing DKO right now because you need to get better because you're doing something the next day, right?
Right.
You're doing it, you're playing it because you want to have fun.
Right.
So I think that's actually a perfect example where if you were hardcore in DKO, you'd be loading it up right now. You'd be playing, you'd be trying to get better.
Yeah,
and you're not
everything then.
No,
well,
yeah.
You know.
No, yes. No, that's what I'm
wrong with that. No.
So and that's perfect. That's perfect that you said that at that time, because that's what I'm getting at is like, do I consider myself hardcore at that? No. Do I have a competitive heart? No, do I have a competitive heart? Do I want to just fucking win? Yes. Some people, I understand, some people don't necessarily have that same drive. I just want to play with my friends because, Crow. I want to play with my friends because I want to play with my friends and it's fun. And if we lose, dude, was it a close match? Did we fucking extract in DMZ? No, we got shit on. But guess what? It was that fight was crazy. Yeah. Like, we'll talk about that probably the rest of the day, then maybe the next week. How epic was it? Like, I do have the competitive side of me that's like, I want to continue to get better at something. I don't want to play something and be bad. Right? Because if I'm just... Apex Legends is a perfect example. Less than a 1% win rate. I'm winning less than 1%, than 1 out of every 100 games. It's just not fun, bro. I logged over 400 games and had like 5 wins total by the end of the season. That is not...
That would be like 3 games, but yeah.
That is not fun. That's not fun, dude. It's not. Right? And so now I'm not playing the game. This pulls me into the kind of final point that I wanted to talk about, and that's just like games, not necessarily game development, but games themselves being developed in gaming, in the gaming sphere, being developed towards casuals or hardcore, because I think I can say, and anybody correct me if I'm wrong, unanimously at this point, between Crow, Sandstorm, Ice Cream, Rhino, me, Hilrambe, Drew, we can all agree that time in is the biggest defining line between somebody who's hardcore and somebody who's casual. But every single game developer out there that's running a game, for the most part nowadays, is live service.
Every single, for the most part.
For the most part. I mean, outside of like indie games, any AAA game, most everything is live service now. And what do they have? Battle passes. And what are battle passes designed to do? They're designed to basically trigger your sunken cost fallacy, right? Like, I've put money into this, so I need to continue to play this, or else I'm losing out on the money that I put in.
Well, they're also basing it on, like, gym subscription kind of thing. Like, if you are subscribed, they already have your money.
Yeah, but there's not many games that run like a subscription, like World of Warcraft, where you can't play it.
But like Battle Pass.
Battle Pass.
Yeah.
No, but a Battle Pass, I can say, I do this with Fortnite all the time. I'm taking the season off. I'm not playing this.
Yeah.
And then I come back. WoW, you take this season off, you don't play the game. Right? So, like, subscription's a little different. Subscription's hardcore. You have to play. You're literally already paying
it's a
for
similar
the time.
Thing.
Yes, and that's
I would say
exactly. And it is a very similar thing.
Than not.
Again, sunken cost fallacy. They're saying, I've already put this amount of money into the game. If I don't get every skin, if I don't finish the battle pass, I'm throwing money away. So the games themselves are already trying to pull people into a hardcore place, right? They're trying to take all your time, just like every other piece of social media out there.
They want you to, though.
Right.
That's how they make their money.
They want you to. That's how they make their money. At the point, to the point of Sandstorm, you were just talking about, like, you've already gotten the money. Once I bought the Battle Pass, screw off. It doesn't matter. I've got your money, right? Fortnite does a really good job of giving you ample opportunities to blast through your battle pass, right? There have been seasons where me and Drew hit level like 300 in a battle pass. I've done it in Destiny 2. I'm not proud of that. More proud of it in Fortnite than I am in Destiny. But I feel like the gaming industry in itself is trying to cater and develop games towards hardcore players because they want you to sink all of your time into that game. But then the time that is spent in that game leads to fatigue and boredom and disinterest with the game itself because they're shooting themselves in their foot, right? Again, this is why I think Fortnite is pretty good at this. Fortnite, I can buy the season pass for less than I can buy a season pass for most other games. They give me a literal fuck ton of quests to complete that help me blast through that battle pass. I hit level 100, I get everything that I feel like I've paid for, and I can be off of that game for the next 2 months if I don't like it, which I wouldn't be buying the battle pass if I didn't feel like it was fun that season. Where like games like Destiny are making you commit up front for like $100 to buy.
I bought all 4 of them, and I played not even a quarter of them.
Right. A lot of people did. So like, I don't know. That's where I'm, and I don't necessarily even have a prompt for this. I don't have like a specific question. I just was like, I wanted to lead with, what is a casual versus a hardcore? Hardcore gamers are people who are putting time in to the game and outside of the game into the game more than other people. Right? You're not only just putting more time into that specific game, but you're consuming content outside of it to try to better yourself at that game. But the games themselves are not developing alongside of that.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big part of it, right? I think it's a different era of games, where I think we mentioned Final Fantasy VII before, right? Just the Final Fantasy title as a whole, right? That's just it's all about the story. It's all about yes, it's about the time, because the stories take a long time to play through.
True.
But it goes back to that pause, right? You can pause Final Fantasy and come back to it. And I think it really just comes down to, if I try to summarize it in my own mind, it's about, do we want to develop a game that we can try to make everything perfect and release it in 6 months? Or do we want to release it today, start making money, and patch it as we go? And I think that's where we're at today. It's more about the profitability of games than it is about making the best game anymore.
Well, gaming has been realized as being a very profitable market, and now that people recognize that, they want to profit off of it.
It's mainstream.
Back in the day, it was like, hey, like, this could really fail and things. And, like, we had things like the E.T. game that really, really failed, and just didn't it almost kill gaming at one point? But, like, gaming is in a really strong place now, so if there's money to be made, people are going to want to make money.
Now you have
That's why we have things like the mergers. That's why we have monopolies trying to start right now, where you'll see it. Like, I think right now the monopoly thing with Activision buyout is mostly divided amongst like Xbox Game Boys and like PlayStation Game Boys, and I think that's mostly what I'm seeing the dividing line. Whereas it's really just like, hey, like, yeah, this might not be the worst thing right now, but as we continue to get more monopolization, they just can do whatever the fuck they want. Like, we're not going to have fun games. We're going to have cookie cutter games that they can continue to pull as much money out as they can out of until we're at a point where gaming's not really fun. It's just commercialized.
The daily quest, the weekly quest, you have to play the game regularly, otherwise you get left in the dust.
And that was one of the notes that I had down. I was like, I feel like gaming in itself as a whole is being developed to a point where they want their audience. Everything is hardcore now. Nothing is casual. Everything is hardcore because everything expects all of your time. And so
indie
they
games
want
don't.
Right. And indie games are a different beast, and that's why I didn't want to necessarily like get too deep into indie games right now, because they're not.
You're also not a huge indie game person.
But they're also not.
You're more like of a AAA person.
But they're also not. Indie games rarely break into the limelight of like streaming, gaming culture. Like, it's like, hey, I found this really sick game. It's an indie game. Like, it was developed by these 3 dudes. You get
like 1 or 2 that pop up every year.
Yeah, there may be 1 or 2 that pop up every year. But the multi-billion-dollar industry that gaming is trying to force everyone into being a hardcore gamer and being very specific about the games that they play. I think.
See, I think it's like they're making you go to work for them. That's the problem I have with Destiny and games like that. Is that, like you have the daily, the weekly, did you do your nightmare, and it's like you had to go to a job, and that's kind of why I fell away from it, because I was like, oh shit, I didn't do my daily today, I gotta hurry up and, do that before I go to bed or whatever. It's just like, you're just their employee, and that's a lot of things is with I play a lot of indie games, because I feel like it's like a game. I can turn it on, I can play this, I have fun. I don't feel like I'm punching punching in a time sheet or time card, being time to go to work. Let's grind through this, this game and get to the end of it. And
these are the tasks that I really have to complete today.
Yeah, it's and you get nothing for it. In Destiny, that's why I've stopped doing it. It was because, okay, I'm going to grind all this stuff just to get these engrams that I'm going to do nothing with, because I have copies of this gun for 50,000 times. I mean, it was just kind of those kind of grind games just get kind of boring after a while.
It's the minimum just to stay up with everything else. If you don't do them, you're falling behind.
Yes.
And you have to do them at a minimum just to maintain.
That's been your point this whole time, Sandstorm.
An example was, remember that game Haze? Do you remember that? It was a PlayStation game. Yeah, it's a PlayStation game. It's that icon with the guys, it has a yellow shielded face and it's half broken.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Girl's got it,
Yeah.
like
he's like
at
on
one
drugs
point,
and stuff, right? Like that's part of the thing is you're doing drugs to like, oh, I'm a superhuman Hulk, Bane kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, and like I played the shit out of that, like because I was ranked really high, like 8th or something like that, and like it was a job because you like to stay on top. You had to log on and get at least like 150 kills, like and then like I remember I stopped for 2 days because of something, and like I dropped like 7 places, and I was like, oh my god, like it's just games like that. It's just I would consider that they do make you hardcore. They make you have to go to their, you're an employee of Activision or an employee of Epic or whatever the hell, Yeah, indie games are where it's at. If you want to like, I feel like if you want to be like a pure gamer, like that's the games that you need to play.
Yep.
Well, and to that point, I think it's one of those that the most fun that I've had in games lately are the games that I'm playing with friends, not online, like playing with other people, but load into a game, and it's Crow, it's Golrog, it's Ice Cream, it's Rhino. It's the 5 of us playing together, just us, whatever game it is. We're playing AI, we're playing 2v2, whatever it may be, and we're just having fun playing the game. It's not about what's the weekly, what's the daily, what's the...
I gotta get this stuff done, yeah. Let me get my pinnacles.
Right, it's that, let's play the game, let's enjoy it. You know what, and I mentioned pause earlier, but I'll expand on that to say save, too, right? We can save a game and come back to it. Like, let's just have an hour. We have our podcast right now, right? Like, let's just say, every Saturday we have an hour, 2 hours reserved to play a game. And over the next 3 months, we do that every Saturday, every Thursday, whatever it is. Like, for me, that is so much more fun than worrying about, did I do my dailies? Is my eye level high enough for whatever content's coming out?
Yeah.
I find so much more fun in that today than anything else.
No, yeah, and I want to touch on Drew's notes here too, because you just nailed something that he talked about, and that's that he thinks that solo player style games are fading, like things like Fortnite and stuff like that aren't fun without a group. But his wish, and this is kind of what we'll end with, if anybody has any like specific thoughts, Rhino, I want to hear from you on the whole deal that we just talked about. But he said he wishes that he could see some online multiplayer RPGs, not MMORPGs. As in games that you can log into online with friends, play together in some type of role-playing game, some type of like game where we can progress together as a freaking Minecraft, right? But not Minecraft.
That's what we do. That's why I have a private server. We get those games that are MMOs that I don't want to have to deal with the toxicity of playing with random players online.
Yeah.
Like Ark. We played Ark with like 5 people for like a month straight, and it was the most fucking fun that I've had in gaming in years.
And Drew played a lot of Fortnite, and I mean, that's kind of like the I feel like the just go-to with that kind of thing. But games that are developed in that kind of way, and not like to Sandstorm's point that we were just talking about, like dailies, weeklies, I have to get these things done. I need to make sure that I'm logging in to at least collect this reward. Stuff like that where they expect your time. They need your time because they just want your time. Rhino, any closing thoughts here?
You know what that online RPG is?
No.
Borderlands.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Borderlands for you, baby.
I mean, I can see, like, sometimes you just don't want to, like, go to the what everybody's doing, just like the PvP right now. Like, you want to enjoy a game, while playing with others, like that's one of the reasons why I play Borderlands.
Yeah,
because you can play online. There's no PvP. Like it's all strictly co-op. Like the replayability is just, I mean, shit. It came out probably 10 years ago at this point, and I'm still playing it. So, but I understand where he's coming from. Like it just comes to a point like you want to play a shooter game and you want to be like, you know, I guess intrigued or just like kind of like into it, where like, you know, you kind of go back to maybe like like a PS3, PS2, like a Rainbow Six type game, to where like you're basically doing a campaign, but you can do it co-op mode. And you know, COD does have that in some aspects with with the special ops, you know, situations, but they're very limited. But no, I can see where he's coming from with that.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a really good point, because like MMOs are something that immediately get analyzed and min-maxed, and everyone wants to know what's the best thing and what's the, and that kind of goes out the window when it gets whittled down to, hey, it's just me and my friends playing this, right? That's the difference between Elder Scrolls Online and Elder Scrolls Skyrim that has multiplayer enabled.
Skyrim together.
Right. Skyrim together. Like two totally different things, because Elder Scrolls Online is being min-maxed by everybody who wants to be world first raiders or the best at PvP or whatever, and if you're not able to look up that information and watch those videos and figure out this play style and grind your dailies and your weeklies to get this gear and do all this stuff, then you're not going to be able to compete. Whereas, like, if it was just, you know, Skyrim Online with friends, Skyrim together, not online, Skyrim together, like that's a totally different experience.
That's what we did with Conan.
Yeah, who cares?
We made that private server and just loaded it up, and instead of trying to figure out what was min-max, we were just like, hey, we're going to roleplay as things in a Bronze Age collapsed civilization.
And my only thing, and this is where I'll leave us, and the final question to the entire group before we close out the podcast, because I've taken way too much of your guys' time now. I appreciate everybody for being here and giving me all this. Especially when we thought today was going to be a bust, like, you know, a couple hours ago. We weren't totally sure. Is that a lot of those games that you're talking about are not the AAA games, right? Like, the polish isn't necessarily there. I don't know. There's a lot of things that go into making Skyrim what it is, as opposed to a game that's like Skyrim adjacent but doesn't have the same type of money, that doesn't have the same type of developmental backing. Stuff like that, where it's like, okay, well, I want games to look really, really, really good. I have this great graphics card. I have this great PC. I want to be able to take advantage of that. And while it's admirable and it's great that somebody's put this game together that sounds awesome and seems really fun with friends, if I'm not able to just, like, get into the game itself because it looks like me and my daughter put it together over a weekend, like, that kind of kills things for me, you know? So, like, where are the AAA games that are trying to meet that niche? You know, Drew himself brought up Elden Ring a little bit. And it's not necessarily online, but you have your online PvP, which, again, is sweaty, because then all of a sudden you started getting into min-maxing and everything. But, like, I feel like there's places where it's being tiptoed around. Halo Infinite's another example, right? Like, they have online multiplayer now, apparently. We don't know. We haven't done it. It's a polished game. It's AAA. But, like, most people playing Halo for, like, the PvP aspect of it, right? Like, I don't know. I just feel like the game development itself is maybe moving away from what we were looking for. And again, with the season passes and online, everything being live service, stuff like that, like, there's a lot of being forced into a corner of hardcore as opposed to being able to accept things casually. So, to turn it all around and answer the one final question, and we're not looking for a whole lot of discussion here, we're just looking for straight answers, because this is how we're going to end the podcast, and we're going to trigger a whole lot of people, okay? Rhino, we'll start with you, and then we'll move through Ice Cream, Sandstorm, Crow, and I'll close this out. Manning, Rhino, is gaming dead?
No.
Dave? Is gaming dead?
Davis.
Doesn't have to be a yes or a no, but in general,
the dead are silent.
Dave might be dead.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Hey, there he is. You're good.
No, I said no. It's not dead. It's just in a different place. Like, it's way more popular than it ever has been. So,
True.
You know, all those games that you've been talking about tonight, like, those are just games people love to hate. So, like, you would think that it's dying and dead because everyone's, like, worried about numbers and stuff like that. But
Fair.
I don't know. I play like a lot of indie games, and there's new games being made all the time that are really fun and like and different. You know, like Dark and Darker, or like Vampire Survivors. Like, I never thought I'd like a game like that, but it's like the simplest game you could make and like the best game you could play. You know, and it's huge. Like, there's tons of people love it. You know, and like even like Dwarf Fortress that just totally got rebooted, and like now you can play it and it doesn't look like you're looking at the Matrix. And like, you know, I've been checking the numbers on it because like I really want the guy to do well. And just like on Steam, like within the first day, like I think they had like 8,000 sales or whatever. So, and that's pretty good for a game like Dwarf Fortress. Like, that's like, you know, has this very specific audience. So, but I don't know. I don't think it's dead. I think it's just different. I think it's just different because more people consume video games now than back in the day when you were like a super nerd if you played video games.
Right.
Like, now it's like
so much more mainstream.
You know, yeah, now it's like super, you know, like you have like Gamer Girls streamer games that are like streaming games. You have ex-porn stars streaming games. You have like everyone doing games because everyone wants to just watch them, and you can make so much money on it. So gaming's totally not dead.
If you have a good enough personality, you can just make money sitting there.
True.
Or if you are attractive enough.
Sandstorm?
No, I don't think gaming's dead. I look at it, and I've looked at it this way for years. It is your active television watching, right?
Right.
Where you had generations before they sat down in front of the TV, whether it's the news, whether it's a soap opera, whether it's Hell's Kitchen, you know, whatever it is, that's their passive watching television. Gaming is your active watching, right? Whether it's on Twitch or whether it's you're actually playing the game yourself. It's much more active. No, I don't think it's dead. I think it's at a point right now where it needs to kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say redefine, but it's one of those areas we got to find. Titles need to be one spot. You know, they can't be everything, and you know, every game's not going to be for every person. So, if you're going to go for a certain audience, if you're going to go for a certain genre, you know, go for it, and don't try to be a one-stop shop. But no, game is not dead. It's just in a very interesting time right now, and I think it has a very interesting future ahead of it.
Crow?
When anything changes, people say that it's dying because people don't like change. But things evolving doesn't necessarily mean it's dying. It just means that people don't like change. Gaming's not dead, so I don't know how we could ever honestly say that it was dead. I don't know how this could be a hot take. The only hot take here would be saying, yes, gaming's dead, and coming up with any kind of answer there, because you'd be wrong.
Okay. That leaves
now let's hear why you think gaming's dead.
I don't think gaming is dead. I don't. I think gaming is dying right now. I think it's a combination of things. I think Sandstorm touched on a couple of them. I think that the industry as a whole has caught a case of, hey, this can be very, very, very profitable. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we are going to suck that dry as quickly as we can and get our fair share of the pie. And I think that has pushed game development in itself into a place that is unhealthy, and a lot of gamers are feeling ostracized and unfulfilled and just different about gaming than they have before. Right? The memories that I have about playing Skyrim and friggin' Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind and friggin' what was the frog fighting game way back in the day?
Battletoads?
Yes, Battletoads. The feelings that I have about that, about Sonic Adventure, raising my chows on the Dreamcast, are very different than the feelings and experiences that I have with gaming now. I think a lot of that is, again, as we've kind of discussed here, developers are forcing people into a place where they have to play hardcore. And I think that is dying. That form of game, this iteration of gaming and where we are right now, is something that is dying. Is gaming dead? No. Like, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It'll be around for forever because people won't let it die. But the people that are going to be successful in the coming years are people that are going to touch on what we've talked about today in providing really, really solid experiences for people who want to invest all their time into a game and also don't want to invest all their time in the game. They want to pause it. They want to save it. They want to play other games. They want to come back. I think that's the future, which I think we've all kind of touched on. But I think in its current iteration, it's dying. Somebody give me a real solid YouTube exit.
Piece of shit.
What? We're done. We're done. Hey, catch us in episode 4 where we talk about gaming is